talking all about some great books, but now it's time to talk about some great players in the National Hockey League.
You know what? You're a rookie. You're a rookie.
Hey, rookie, man.
Not quite Mario, but we're getting there. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? We're gonna move over to something.
No, we approve. We approve.
Okay, so a big topic we've heard all over. It's been on Twitter. It's been talked about on Sportsnet, TSN, all the big channels. Is this big debate between? Okay, it's pretty set. Connor McDavid is the best player in the NHL. There's no argument.
No
there.
question.
But after that, there's some superstar players that are kind of in the conversation. I think I'd give Nathan McKinnon second best player in the league. But after that, there's players within that 3 to 5 range. And the two big ones, Auston Matthews on the Toronto Maple Leafs. So no, this isn't a Matthews jersey, but close. Obviously, we're a Leafs podcast, Auston Matthews. And then Mr. Edmonton Oilers, Leon Draisaitl. So there's a big debate there. We're obviously going to get into our opinions. But the big debate, it's been all over the internet right now, is who do you think is a better player? And there's a lot of different factors to consider. Because ultimately, they are, as much as they're both forwards, they are, oh, sorry, that's my garage. Unfortunately, they are very different players. So it's a big debate. There isn't exactly a wrong answer because, again, both of them are superstars. You can't go wrong. But a big question is, if you're starting off your franchise, who are you starting with? And I guess we're going to start off with Evan here. What are your opinions on that?
Well, I mean, I said it before. Like, look, I saw like Mario, like with our outline sheet, like put up like the players' stats in the playoffs. And honest to God, Mario, I love it. I don't really care about that because it hasn't succeeded to anything. Like both players haven't made it out of the first round, and both players have although the numbers look great, like the impact just isn't there come playoff time. So I don't really look at those numbers, but when I'm looking at the two players, obviously Auston Matthews, he hasn't scored less than 30 goals since entering the NHL, which is just incredible to think. And that just comes with being consistent. And although he isn't healthy at times, when he is healthy, he's still putting the puck in the back of the net, which is great. The reason why I gave Leon Draisaitl the edge is because I really think his hockey IQ in the offensive zone is greater than Auston Matthews in the offensive zone, but I do think Matthews is better defensively. But in terms of offense, and I think that's what GMs are striving for, especially with your top forwards, that's what you want. And look, although Draisaitl could score 40 goals in a season, he can also put up 60 assists, which is just incredible to think of. And I know he has Connor McDavid there, who sure as hell helps him out, but still the passes that he makes in order to get Connor McDavid the puck, or Zach Hyman or Nugent Hopkins and the whole Edmonton Oilers, it's second to none. It's very hard to defend against, and he makes defenders look stupid. And I just think, if I'm starting my franchise, and especially as like a center and left winger, he could play both and is just so offensively dynamic. I think that's who I want to start my franchise with. And I mean, they're both still incredibly young players. The one issue I have with both of them is just success in the playoffs, because look, I mean, like, I don't need to, like, they both haven't made it out of the first round, and the Edmonton Oilers recently just got swept by the Winnipeg Jets. And in that series, I believe the Oilers scored more than 3 goals once, I want to say, in those 4 games, and they were very limited to opportunities. But I just think overall, I would give the edge to Draisaitl, because I think defensive ability, like we're seeing with Connor McDavid now, it seems like he's slowly picking up his defensive ability. And I think you could easily instill that, or not easily, but it would be easier to instill that into Leon Draisaitl than like a passing ability like his.
How much does 97 make a difference?
I don't think it makes look, it makes a difference, but when you look at the plays that Leon Draisaitl is making, like, it's not like he's passing it in his own, like in the defensive zone, and then getting the assist because McDavid carried the puck through 17 defenders like he always does. Like, when you look at the passes, and sometimes they are the secondary assists, but it's that pass that makes it so much easier for that player to score. And if you look at Zach Hyman's first, like, I'll take it all the way back to his first power play goal in Edmonton, it's a pass across from McDavid to Draisaitl, and Draisaitl makes the most beautiful saucer pass, and it allows Zach Hyman to have an empty net. So I think, like, obviously he helps, because he's just as good as Draisaitl, if not better. But it's not like his only assists come from Connor McDavid goals. Like, he finds other ways to get guys involved.
I mean, personally for me, and I don't know how you guys are going to evaluate, but I think when you're comparing Leon Draisaitl to Connor McDavid, this is probably, I mean, we're in light of the Edmonton Oilers, I mean, the Leafs beating the Edmonton Oilers. So obviously we're going to be talking about this extensively. It's been talked about extensively throughout the last 24 hours, but this debate, I can't use numbers, man. Adam, I don't know about you. You're a numbers guy, and I'm
Yeah.
sure when we get over to you, you're going to
I'm actually
pull up
not going to
some.
use numbers. I probably won't.
Okay, so the reason why I
Yeah.
can't use numbers is because how are you supposed to judge this? This goes pound for pound, player for player. You're not going to judge whoever gets more points in the playoffs, like you mentioned. It usually means nothing, considering these guys have not had to lift or hoist any of that silver thing, as Jared put it a couple days ago. But no, I don't think numbers matter because you're looking at the guy beside him, what he's producing with. I think you're got to look at just from the eye, who is the better player? Who do you not enjoy watching more? Because a little bit of a bias would be thrown in there, but who just looks to be the better player. And I don't know. I think for me, I have to go Auston Matthews. It's just no bias there. And again, both terrific players. And I think we're going to say that a bunch in this segment, but I don't know. Matthews, his shot is second to none, probably the top in the league, in my opinion. I think Ovi has a terrific shot. He's going to go down as the best goal scorer of all time. I hope he beats Gretzky's record. So I have grown up and seen a guy like this shatter that record, one of the unbeatable records that we thought we'd never see get shattered. But I don't know. Ovi scores a lot from one spot. Matthews is a lot more versatile, and I think Matthews is a lot more versatile in more ways than Leon Draisaitl. So that's my take on it. I don't know. What do you guys think as well? Because this is a very interesting debate, and again, you can go any side you want.
I think I'm going to take the side of. I know. Okay, so I said last night in our group chat, I said this season it's Leon Draisaitl, and spoiler alert, I think Leon Draisaitl is the MVP of this season so far. Yeah, more than Connor McDavid, even though they have the same amount of points. But last season, I think Matthews is better than Draisaitl. So it's really difficult to say, but just based off what I watch, I think Matthews is a lot easier to watch than Leon Draisaitl because he's definitely I think undeniably he's a better stick handler, more flashy player, probably faster. Obviously the better shot, the more sexy shot. The guy takes like a toe dragger shot like it's nothing, but just as a kind of John Tavares-esque, but a little bit more flashy. I'm gonna go with Leon Draisaitl just because when evaluating a forward, playing really good defense is obviously an asset, but it's not a necessity. Evan puts little clappy things. It's not a necessity to play really good defense. It's a necessity to not be bad at defense. And that's what Leon Draisaitl is this year. I don't think Leon Draisaitl's in the past, he has been a bottom 5 defensive player, and that has hindered him. But if he could play even just below average defense, which is what he's doing now, while being such a dual threat where he's just throwing backhand sauces crossed ice or just like sneakily sniping one short side and finishing the game with like a quiet 3 points, I think I'll take Draisaitl as a better player. But to start a franchise with, I'm going to take Auston Matthews.
I think
because he's flashy. Yeah, it's exactly. You don't always like. It sounds dumb.
Starting a franchise and evaluating the value of a player, I think are two.
Exactly.
I think they contrast each other so extensively.
I think I'd rather start a franchise with I'd rather start a franchise with the third best center versus the best winger in the league, and that's just because position evaluation. But like starting a franchise too, you got to consider like other things too, like who's the more marketable face. It's Auston Matthews. Who's the flashier player? Auston Matthews. The younger player, Auston Matthews, right?
I think the market standpoint is because he's in Toronto. Like, I guarantee you if Leon Draisaitl was in Toronto.
No way. No way. Come on. Auston Matthews
likes to be an outgoing
he's fucking Showtime.
Oh, well,
he dresses
he's Showtime. More than Draisaitl, I think that's 100%.
Well, yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, Draisaitl is like the more quiet, kept, just hockey.
Although he will in the Edmonton media.
He's awesome, man.
He's kind of funny sometimes. Like you'll give him like a snide comment, but he's no Auston Matthews, right? Like,
yeah.
Come on.
Well, he's living in the limelight of Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid's supposed to be that Auston Matthews answering those questions. Matthews is all alone up there.
Connor McDavid sucks in front of the camera. Have you guys seen?
He's improved. When he started, he was garbage.
Look, I think it's hard. No, but I think it's hard because the camera's been around him since he was so young that sometimes it's almost just it's still daunting. Like that the cameras are constantly on you. And maybe I want to reverse this. McDavid seems like the guy who's I just want to play hockey. I'll get my endorsement deals. But I like this wouldn't surprise me if after retirement he didn't like join the GM's office or like didn't like I just don't see him. I see him as the guy that like makes his money and then goes into retirement and never wants
Kind
to
of
like
Sidney Crosby. Like we're gonna in the next 5 years, I'd say maybe not 5, in the next decade, we are never gonna hear from Sidney Crosby ever again. That guy's poof, he's gone. He's going back to Cole Harbor.
He's so quiet.
Like he's out of here, man. There's
Cole
no
Harbor's
way.
perfect for him.
Oh, it's so perfect. There's like shit. Send him like to Saskatchewan. There's like literally nothing there. I don't know if have you guys seen the Connor McDavid the house tour with his wife?
Yeah. His house is elite. Did you hear his interview yesterday about the driveway incident?
Yes, heated driveway. People are mad at him for that.
He's a heated driveway.
You can't get mad at him. Like that's what he's got.
It's so dumb. People were mad at him for that. People are like, "Oh, this
sick.
rich guy has a heated driveway." Let the guy have his heated driveway. He's
Well,
the best player in the world.
if he makes $12.5 million, like,
let him have his heated driveway.
I bet he doesn't want to be slipping on the snow.
Yeah. What if he slips, gets hurt, hurts his hip, and he's out for?
Then what are Oilers fans gonna say?
Oh yeah, what are you gonna say now?
Oh, we've all
should have gotten a heated driveway.
Shoveling snow. That is my least favorite thing to do. I don't know if we're going off topic, but holy fuck, whoever created snow like deserves the death penalty. It is awful. I hate it.
God.
I hate it so much.
Yeah,
What
sucks,
man?
man.
Come on.
That's
It's the-
ice.
it's the
That's
only-
not snow.
Well,
Fuck snow.
How do you get the ice with the snow a little bit? No.
No,
Oh.
it's just water.
Not really. I don't think that's the science behind it.
Yeah, I'm cold to cold. Like, you know, the snow is pretty, like around the ODR, like at Valora. I love seeing like the little bank of snow like that goes around the ice. Yeah, that's cute. But like shoveling it, walking in it,
Skating in it.
even worse. Oh my god.
Jared, let's throw it to you, man. You're the only one who hasn't given the haul in your debate
Yeah.
here. So, buddy, what do you got? Who's number one? McDavid? Sorry, not McDavid. He is clearly the number one, but who's the number one in this sense of players? Draisaitl or Matthews?
Well, okay, trying to be as unbiased as possible. Of course, I'm a Leafs fan. Like you know what my answer is going to be, but I'm trying to say it in a way that's as unbiased as possible. I think for the reasons that Adamo began to sort of list off, as much as he listed those things off and then changed his answer to say the answer is Draisaitl, I do think those factors, the fact that Matthews is a faster skater, the fact that he is a better shot, the fact that he's a better stick handler and is a quicker and more flashy player. And as much as, yes, it isn't a necessity for a forward to be good defensively, I do think the fact that Matthews is a better defensive forward is another checklist that I would use to prove that Auston Matthews is the better player. It's very much, it's neck and neck. You can't go wrong with any. If you're starting a franchise and these are your two guys, your franchise is in pretty good shape because you're going to end up with a superstar player. Leon Draisaitl, as Evan began to mention, there's pretty much no one in the league that passes the way he does. He's a superstar in every sense of the word. I love Leon Draisaitl, but as well, a lot of his points do come off the power play. That is when he's playing with Connor McDavid a lot. So that is something that you do have to consider ultimately. It's very much not something I'm heated about. It's not a criticism. It's not you're wrong for saying Leon Draisaitl. I think there's a very valid argument there. And the points, as much as, yes, you can't purely make your argument based on that, Leon Draisaitl does right now, is leading in the point race. And over the past few past few years, Leon Draisaitl has actually a lot more points than Auston Matthews does. But I do think you just have to consider the ways that they play, where one's maybe a more quiet, John Tavares-esque player, as Adamo was mentioning, and the other is a lot more flashy. He's more fun. He's more exciting to watch. And he snipes the puck like it's nobody's business. And I think for that reason, Auston Matthews is the player that I'm saying is better. I'd put him slightly above. It's probably my ranking in the league. It goes Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon. I think I would now put Auston Matthews as the third best player in the league and probably Leon Draisaitl at fourth. Like, it's pretty close. You can't go wrong with a player like Draisaitl. I just think there's too many check boxes that Auston Matthews is better in when comparing to Draisaitl that it's hard for me to argue that Draisaitl's better. I think for the better shot, the faster skater, the stick handling, all of that, I think in my mind, it's very hard to argue against Auston Matthews in this. I don't think it's something that on Twitter should be getting as heated as it is, because I think at a point you have to step back and say, both are superstars. Why do we care? Like, I think it's very much something like...
Yeah, like, just be thankful that you have one of them.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's very much something that the media kind of... Maybe they're trying to distract from all the harder, more serious news that was going on. I don't know. Maybe they just need kind of a lighthearted story to put out there. And that's why they started, hey, why don't we stir the shit with some of this stuff? Because it very much isn't a topic that I think people should care as much. Of course, it's a fun discussion, and that's why I'm happy to have it on the podcast. But it's very much not something I think anyone should be super heated about. I think both are superstar players. Both definitely have factors that are better in. But in my mind, I just think if you're making a checklist, I think there's too many areas Matthews is the better player in that make it hard to argue for Draisaitl. That's my opinion. That's in my mind. Sure, you could say there's a little bit of bias there just because I am a Leafs fan. I get to watch Auston Matthews a lot more than Draisaitl. But for a lot of reasons, I think Matthews just is slightly better, and I'd put him at third overall in the league. But Draisaitl isn't far behind. He's a superstar. He passes like no one else. He's starting to score now. And yeah, you can't argue against Leon Draisaitl, but just Matthews is a superstar, and I am putting him slightly above.
It's all depending on who you ask. Like, this is a pretty, like, we're going to have this conversation, obviously, because we have a podcast. We can make it a little bit more, we're more flexible. But if I'm hearing people on radio talk about this with the little amount of time they have on air, it's pretty silly because you can only go so in depth. Like, I've seen people with the other criterias. I've seen people on Twitter evaluate who's better based on their Chell rankings. Who's got the better X factor? Who's got the better ratings and this, and this? Like, Jesus Christ. Like, I don't know how you put a specific one. I think it just depends on who you ask. Like, Oilers fans are going to definitely say Leon Draisaitl. They watch him more and they don't see as much of Auston Matthews. They just think the guy down east in Toronto is just pumping goals. That's about it. But I don't know. It's who you rather have on your team. And I guess the house is divided today. 2 guys Draisaitl, 2 guys Auston Matthews. And let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I would love to hear the debate between Auston Matthews and Leon Draisaitl. Definitely one to have at your dinner table for sure. But another thing that we can discuss even more extensively and even more in depth